Hey everybody, it's Scott Leckie from Democracy Tomorrow. This is the third and final update on what happened in the Australian national elections 2 weeks ago. Well, they've done almost all of the counting now. I think there's one or two seats that are still undecided that are really, really close. So they're counting preferences and maybe even third preferences. And so we should have the absolute final count in days, but it's close enough now to the end to give a quick overview. So first, most people won't know the names of all the different Australian parties. So let me just quickly go through those from lowest amount of the vote to the highest amount of the vote as an overall percentage. So here we go. Some of these, by the way, are rather far on the ends of the political spectrum, shall we say. So starting from the lowest to the highest, we have the Great Australian Party, the Australian Democrats, Indigenous Aboriginal Party of Australia, Victorian Socialists, Health, Environment, Accountability, Rights, Transparency, HEART Party. Then the Socialist Alliance, the Shooters, Fishers, and Farmers Party. They used to have a senator. I don't think they do anymore. Australian Christians, a party called Fusion / Planet Rescue / Whistleblower Protection / Innovation. They got a total of 14,000 votes, for instance. The Animal Justice Party, 35,000 votes. Gerard Rennick People First Party, that's one I've never heard of before. Australian Citizens Party, next. Legalize Cannabis Australia, getting closer to the top. They got 1.2% of the vote, by the way, the Legalize Cannabis Australia Party. The Libertarian Party, Family First Party Australia, a party called the Trumpet of Patriots, actually named after a certain somebody that was led and paid for by one of Australia's billionaires. Pauline Hanson's One Nation. Then a series of independent candidates grouped together under the title Independent. And then Katter's Australian Party, which is quite interesting. You should look up Bob Katter to see a truly original politician. The Centre Alliance, followed by the Greens, Country Liberal Party, the Nationals, the Liberal National Party of Queensland, the Liberal Party, and finally, the top of the mountain, the Australian Labor Party. So this is from the Australian Electoral Commission website. First preferences by party. And you know those can change in the end. What does that lead to in terms of seats in the parliament? Well, the Australian, as of today, the 17th of May, the Australian Labor Party, spelled Labor, by the way, thank you for your comments on that, as opposed to the standard British spelling of Labour. They are going to end up with 94, it looks like, of the 150 seats. The Liberal National Coalition will have 43 seats, so they've gone up a bit. The Greens will have 1 seat. The Centre Alliance will have 1 seat. The Katter's Australian Party will have 1 seat. Independents will have 9 different seats. And there's one that's called Too Close to Attribute. So what are some of the final sort of thoughts about this election? Well, clearly, Labor's victory was greater than most people predicted. And let's hope that this is not something that leads to complacency. We need to realize that Australia is just one out of 193 countries, and things are happening across the world. Some people say that we're just 2 or 3, maybe 5, 6 years behind the curve. So, the Labor Party needs to make sure that it delivers on its promises and attends to the key areas of concern by the entire population, in particular, perhaps many of those that didn't vote for them. So that's important to remember. Also, I think the biggest story in many respects regarding this election is the incredible success of women, both in terms of leadership as well as representation in the Parliament and the Senate. So we have a new leader for the Liberal Party called Susan Ley, Ley. That party, I believe, has 21% female representation in the Parliament. but they have, I believe, their first ever female leader in Susan Ley. So congratulations to her. The Green Party also elected a new leader, and I think it's also the first time they've had a female leader, Larissa Waters. So congratulations to her. Women are the majority in the cabinet of the second cabinet of Anthony Albanese, the prime minister, which is, I believe, also perhaps a first. I'm not sure, but it's nonetheless clear that they're in the majority. They're also in a majority in both the House and the Senate in terms of the Labor caucus. 55% of all MPs, members of parliament, and senators are women. And 50 out of 93 for Labor in the House are women, and 18 of 28 in the Senate are women. It's also the most ethnically diverse parliament in the history of Australia. Australia has approximately 25% visible ethnic minorities and an additional 3 to 4% indigenous population. So the current parliament is 10% ethnically identifiable. So there's still a long ways to go, but nonetheless, according to newspapers today, it's the most ethnically diverse parliament that has ever existed in Australian history. So I think that's the snapshot of what happened in the election over the last 2 weeks. So with that, I'll say we'll be back in 3 years reporting on the next election, which should be held, I guess, at some point in 2028. Usually it's the discretion of the prime minister to have to call an election within 3 years of the previous election. So a very short election cycle. Anyway, with that, I will bid you farewell and wish you all the very best. And thank you for watching. So please subscribe, like, and thank you again for your comments. They're very interesting and very insightful. Thank you.